Good evening. What you need to know: heat wave death toll in Quebec rises to at least 17. The number of deaths being attributed to an intense heat wave in Quebec has climbed to at least 17, prompting public health officials to warn people at risk to take precautions to avoid heat-related illness. Authorities say 11 people in Montreal have died due to a spike in temperatures that began on Saturday. The temperature in Montreal reached 40 degrees today when factoring in the humidity, and the heat is expected to last until Friday. Public health officials in Quebec's eastern townships report 5 deaths suspected of being caused by the heat. Montreal City Hall unveiled an extreme heat plan yesterday that includes distributing water to groups working with the homeless. Mayor Valérie Plante urged people to check on vulnerable neighbors, including seniors. Toronto police resumed dig at property where Bruce McArthur worked as landscaper for the second time in the Toronto police investigation of alleged serial killer Bruce McArthur. Cadaver dogs have indicated the possible presence of human remains at a Leaside property, this time, in multiple locations. The home where police found planters containing human remains in January was retaped off today and readied for excavation. Police dogs trained to sniff out remains had earlier indicated several spots of concern at the property where McArthur worked for years as a landscaper. McArthur has been charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of 8 men who had connections to Toronto's gay village, but police have located only 7 sets of remains. The body of Majid Kaihan, who disappeared in 2012, has yet to be accounted for. Enbridge sells Canadian natural gas assets to Brookfield Group in $4.3 billion deal. Enbridge is selling its Canadian natural gas gathering and processing business in a $4.31 billion deal with Brookfield Infrastructure Partners and other investors, as the pipeline giant seeks to cut debt and fund growth. It's the latest in a string of deals by Enbridge, which has sold $7.5 billion worth of assets this year, more than double a target of $3 billion. The company received long-awaited approval in Minnesota last week for its massive Line 3 oil pipeline, removing the final regulatory hurdle for the $9 billion Alberta to Wisconsin expansion. There were concerns Enbridge would need to tap markets to fund that and other projects, said Laura Lau, portfolio manager at Brompton Funds. That seems less likely now, she said. Enbridge shares rose on the TSX today, extending a rally that has seen the stock jump more than 25% in 2 months. For subscribers, Premier Doug Ford's Progressive Conservatives have dismissed Ontario's chief scientist, Molly Shoichette, only days after taking office. The award-winning professor at the University of Toronto was appointed last November in what Kathleen Wynne's Liberal government said was a move to create a voice for science at the top level of government. Ms. Shoichette was told yesterday that she had been let go. "I was dismissed. I don't think it was about me or even about the chief scientist position, but rather an out with the old and in with the new, even though, for me, I had just been there for 6 months. She told the Globe and Mail in an email. Unlike Wynne, Ford does not have a cabinet minister with the words science or research in their title. A spokesman for Ford has yet to respond to questions about Ms. Shoichette's dismissal. This is the Daily Evening Update newsletter. If you're reading this online, or if someone forwarded this email to you, you can sign up for Evening Update and all Globe newsletters here. Have feedback? Let us know what you think. Market Watch. Canada's main stock index edged higher today, helped by gains for heavily weighted energy shares and Enbridge Incorporated after the company said it would sell natural gas assets. The Toronto Stock Exchange's S&P/TSX Composite Index rose 0.26%, or 41.56 points, to 16,304.72. The Canadian dollar steadied against its U.S. counterpart, trading nearly unchanged at $1.3142 to the greenback, or 76.09 U.S. cents. It was a quiet day in markets as U.S. exchanges were closed for the July 4th holiday. Got a news tip that you'd like us to look into? Email us at tips@globeandmail.com. Need to share documents securely? Reach out via Secure Drop. What's trending on social? Remaining performances of Robert Lepage's show Slav have been cancelled by the Montreal Jazz Festival, following criticism because it featured a white woman singing songs composed by black slaves. The show was mired in controversy from the start as protesters denounced Lepage and singer Betty Boniface as racist. In examining the trouble with Lepage's colorblind show about slavery, The Globe's Robert Everett Green writes, "We're not talking about a fictional contemporary narrative that includes characters who are black. Slav is a show built on real artifacts of a people's suffering. Talking points in the tariff wars. VW's build cars everywhere strategy now looks clever. VW's global footprint strategy comes with an added benefit. It allows the German car giant to play the new tariff game to its advantage." At last count, VW had 122 plants scattered around the planet. The vast geographic portfolio means the company can shift production to the markets in which it sells cars, a process made all the easier by the use of common platforms. For instance, VW's vast plant in Bratislava, Slovakia, pumps out 3 SUV models with the same platform, the VW Touareg, Audi Q7 and Porsche Cayenne. If the tariff battle evolves into a global tariff war, there is no telling where it will go. As tariffs breed retaliatory tariffs, VW no doubt will shift production to sites where tariffs can be avoided. Eric Reguli, for subscribers, verdict should make us think twice about our self-defense laws. We need to examine whether the 2012 changes to our self-defense laws have made it too easy for people to use guns to defend property, self and others. Prior law often stressed the need to use no more force than was necessary. These issues are also related to confidence in the police and their response to 911 calls. At the end of the day, another Indigenous man, a father of 2, is dead. Kent Roach, professor of law at the University of Toronto. The norm for working hours may be that there is no norm if we are talking about technology and work. Here is what a lot of people would apparently think is ideal. Get a bunch of smart, personable robots, teach them to do what we do and send them to do the jobs that we are all bored with. Then, let the bots pick up the paychecks and hand them over to us. Say thank you, and everyone is happy. And, honestly, we are partway there. Robots, or at least technological change, is galloping toward doing a chunk of the job functions that we have done for years. A mechanical arm can now scoop French fries, and clever robot doctors can do surgery, so that part is fine. The trouble is, no one seems to be able to figure out how to get the robot pay direct deposited into the bank accounts of the would-be fast food worker or surgeon. Linda Nazareth, economist and author. Why some homeowners will pay more than expected to renew their mortgage. New accounting rules adopted by the banks mean they're paying closer attention than ever before to your financial situation and your home's value when you renew a mortgage. Mortgage renewals used to be utterly routine, a virtual rubber stamp. Now, if your credit score has taken a hit or your home has fallen in value, you might not qualify for the best available rates. Rob Carrick, Living Better. Missed your connecting flight? Avoid the herd mentality. The best thing to do may not be queuing up to rebook. Instead, if you have status with the airline or hold a higher-end travel credit card, you'll have a reserved number to call in cases like this. Whoever you deal with, be polite. A kind word can go a long way and may even get you a better flight or seat. And consider taking your cause to social media. Even if you don't have a huge following, a tweet or public Facebook message can get you immediate response. Long reads for a long commute. In the shadow of Canada's biggest city, the piping plover struggles to survive. Endangered they may be, but this summer 2 piping plovers are raising a family of tiny chicks on a Toronto beach where the species has not successfully nested in more than 80 years, all within sight of downtown skyscrapers, hungry predators and airplanes taking off overhead. Starting on June 20th, a total of 4 eggs hatched in the couple's nest on the sand at Hanlan's Point on Toronto Island, Ivan Semeniuk writes. Looking no bigger than fuzzy golf balls on toothpicks, the hatchlings have been scurrying around under their parents' watchful gaze ever since. If the chicks manage to survive another few weeks minus by which time they should be able to take flight and fend for themselves minus it will mark the first time piping plovers have successfully bred on the island since 1934. Craig, Woody, Leidig, assistant equipment manager of the Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals, had just finished a phone interview with a Capital Gazette reporter last week when a gunman entered the newsroom, killing 5 staff members. As a member of the NHL team, Leidig was granted 1 day with the Stanley Cup, Ian Bailey writes. His day was yesterday, which he spent visiting the Capital Gazette staff at a temporary newsroom in Annapolis, Maryland, as well as the local police and fire departments. Capital Gazette reporter Chase Cook said the visit was a wonderful, beautiful gesture. It was one of those moments where we all felt comfortable to smile and laugh, Cook said in an interview. It felt good. Evening Update is written by S.R. Slobodian. If you'd like to receive this newsletter by email every weekday evening, go here to sign up. If you have any feedback, send us a note.